Hi, this is Mark Vondrasek. I'm in the science department, and I'm sending you this video because I think you may be interested in participating in a larger study based on what I did with my classes in the second semester of last year, from December of 2023 to April 2024. And I actually did this as my slow of my evaluation process. We did a full-blown study of including rebel human resources in my physics classes. So the purpose of the study is really built around what we already know. Um, Teens, not just at ETHS, but all over the country, all over the world, uh, have had increases over the last decade, and especially since COVID, of mental health challenges, stress, depression, anxiety, things like this. Just within our school at ETHS, internal surveys, our own data, show about a third or more of our students showing symptoms of anxiety and depression, and between 20 to 25% of our freshmen each year in the screenings that we do for suicide um, have drawn attention for having suicidal thoughts. Now, SEL is one of the 4 district goals, along with equity, literacy, and post-ETH planning. And the rebel human resources that have been used in gym classes for the last 3 years are part of our attempt to introduce SEL skills into the lives of our students. But of course, now rebel human has only been used within the PE classes and not in other departments, not in like core class settings. So we wanted to see if we could find any kind of connection, any kind of results and effectiveness between what Rebel Human has put out for schools and the mental health in particular of our students in a non-PE class. And so I chose to do it with all of my sections of 3 and 4 Chem Phys with juniors and seniors. So we had 99 students participate in this, and we went through basically the second semester of last year. 2 sections were juniors, 3 sections were all seniors. I had 2 control groups, 1 junior section, 1 senior section, where there's no mention, no use of rebel human resources. It was just the classes we would normally do. And then the other 3 sections, we did make use of rebel human resources throughout the second semester. We did a first survey in December of 2023, and then we did nearly an identical survey in April of 2024 after the intervention groups, that the 3 sections that we were using rebel human resources had been exposed to it during, throughout that time. Now, keep in mind, before I show any results of this, that Rebel Human recommends using this consistently, daily, or as close to that as possible, for an entire school year. That's the most effective way to make use of their techniques and methods. The way we run our Chem Phys program is we have a 2-week rotation between the juniors and seniors, and it was only first semester. So with each class, each of the intervention groups basically only had a quarter of a year, a quarter of the recommended time. Okay? So knowing that, and then knowing that the survey questions that we used were put together using professional level surveys and diagnostics that psychologists use to diagnose different things, different conditions, including for us, anxiety. We were looking for, the PHQ is really looking for depressive symptoms. And then we also were looking at eustress, which is the positive use of stress, okay, where you can take anxious moments and that tightness and actually turn it into a positive. Okay, there are actual measures for these things. So in words, at the start, in all of my classes, females and students of colors were significantly higher in terms of their levels of anxiety and the depressive symptoms than male students. Okay, and that I think is kind of the norm across the board here and across the country. Now, when we actually went ahead and did the study over the second semester, the intervention group did see statistically significant drops in depression symptoms, and the control group saw increases in depression symptoms, which is what we would expect during the second semester. The intervention groups also had a statistically significant increase in the use of eustress, the positive use of stress, whereas control groups saw a decrease, which is what we would normally expect. I should also mention, because of the relatively small sample size and the relatively small amount of time that we used these interventions, we weren't necessarily expecting to have statistically significant results, but we actually did. And what I'm going to show you in these plots are statistically significant. So for this one, there's this drop. This is the PHQs. These are depressive symptoms. It turns out our intervention groups actually started higher than the control groups. Just, those were the starting points from the first survey. And then over the course from December to April, the intervention group saw a significant drop in their depressive symptoms, whereas the control group saw this increase in depression. Now, keep in mind, we would expect this to happen that we saw with the control group. These are juniors and seniors. December, since we don't have finals, it's just kind of normal. They went into winter break and they came back in January and just kind of picked up where they left off. Not terribly stressful or things like that. But by the time we get to April, these are all AP kids. So APs were just 2 weeks away. We're preparing for that. That's a big stressor. End of year, projects and things like this were going on. We're getting into the concert seasons, athletics. We're getting ready, getting close to playoff time. For the seniors, they had just, I think, a week or two after we finished the second survey, they had to make their college decision, and they had all the graduation things they had to get through. Very stressful. We would expect these things to be increasing, but the intervention group, the three groups that I was using, the Rebel Human, breathing techniques and whatnot, actually saw a significant decline in that. Okay, it goes against what we would expect, showing effectiveness of the Rebel Human work. This is for eustress. This is the control group. We saw a decline in that as they were becoming more anxious and under stress as the semester, when we're getting close to end of year, we'd expect that to decline. The intervention groups, we actually saw a statistically significant increase, a positive use of stress, because they had better control of their emotions. They had better control of keeping that stress from preventing them from doing well. Okay. Now this is by gender. These two groups on top are females. The males are down here, so we can see higher levels of anxiety and depressive symptoms. The control group went up, and we had with the intervention group, we had the biggest, we had this decline among females. The males, both groups, statistically, there's no significant difference between these, whether it was at the start, whether it's at the end, whether it's control group or intervention groups. We really saw the biggest changes, significant changes with the female groups. This is the graph, statistically significant results for students of color. Now the non-white students, our students of color, started significantly higher in depressive symptoms right off the bat. That's where they typically are. Surveys consistently show this, to be the case around the country. But for this is for the intervention group, our students of color, relatively small numbers, compared to our population in the school. But we had a significant decrease in that for those who were using the rebel human techniques, whereas students of color in our control groups actually started a little bit lower, but we saw that increase that we would expect. Okay. So what we want to do next, because SEL and the mental health of our kids is a primary goal of our district, we want to expand the study to see how we can most effectively make use of a platform developed by Rebel Human, which is very easy to use. It's not time consuming, just a couple minutes a day. Using videos that are prepared for you. That's all I had to do. I did this typically at the start of class, and we started to see real results, even in a shortened period of time. But for our very diverse population, we want to expand this. We know that working with AP juniors and seniors is not representative of all the kids in our district. So we're looking to do a larger study, which potentially could be published. We want it to be multi-departmental. We want to include freshmen and sophomores along with the juniors and seniors. We don't want just AP classes. We want all levels, all subject areas, if possible. We want the larger sample size to reduce those statistical uncertainties. And we want it to be diverse and representative of our actual demographics in our community. So the reason you're receiving this is we'd like to see if you're interested in being part of this study. Whatever subject you teach, whatever groups of kids you have in your classes, especially if you have multiple sections of the same class where we could have maybe like a control group and an intervention group to really, to do a study on, please contact me, respond to my emails that I'll be sending you. And we want to try to do this at the start of the school year, and really, certainly in that first semester, we can start to get real results by doing a survey right at the beginning of the year and something closer to the end of the semester. We'll have finals again. That's going to put stressors on every student in the building. We want them to get through this. We want them to do well. We want them to be healthy and have strong mental health. We think that these Rebel Human resources and other SEL tools that we have available to us can really make a difference, like we found in my classes. So please let us know what you think. Contact me with any questions. We can get you in touch directly with Tate and Jenny, the Rebel Human group. And we would love to talk with you and see if you can help us out with this bigger study. Thank you so much.